Tonight on KVR News, an update on the Houston shooting.
The first National Black Museum opens in D.C.
And an update on tonight's presidential debate.
You're watching KVR News, your leader for live, local UT coverage.
Broadcasting live from the Texas Student Television Studios at the University of Texas. You're watching KVR News at 9, Austin's leader for live, local UT coverage. Your news starts right now.
Good evening and welcome back to KVR News for Monday, September 26th. I'm Dani Matias.
And I'm Khortlyn Cole. Thank you for joining us.
A shooter opened fire at the Houston strip mall, injuring at least 9 people this morning. 4 of the victims were released from the hospital after receiving treatment. 2 of the victims are still in the hospital due to their injuries. The police fatally shot the alleged shooter.
This shooting comes after last Friday's deadly mall shooting at the Cascade Mall in Burlington, Washington, which left 5 people dead. The shooter, Arkin Seton, was arrested Saturday and later charged with 5 counts of first-degree murder and is being held on a $2 million bond. Police said Seton first entered the mall unarmed, then returned later with a gun in hand. Seton opened fire inside Macy's by the makeup department, killing 4 women and 1 man.
24-year-old Miami Marlins pitcher Jose Fernandez passed away Sunday morning. Fernandez was riding a speedboat with 2 other male friends when he crashed into a jetty. The boat then flipped over, killing all 3 passengers. The passengers were Miami residents Emilio Matias and Eduardo Rivero. Fernandez came to the U.S. from Cuba only 8 years ago. Just last week, Fernandez announced he and his girlfriend were about to become parents.
The Mexican government proposal to legalize same-sex marriage has caused an uproar in the country. Thousands of people in Mexico City marched to protest against the proposal, saying that it would undermine traditional families. Currently, same-sex marriages are legal in some Mexican states, but President Peña Nieto hopes to legalize it across the country. In response, gay and lesbian activists staged rival protests. According to BBC, there have not been such big marches over government legislation on social and religious issues since Mexico's Civil War in the 1930s.
The first National Black Museum officially opened in Washington, D.C. The Obamas opened the ceremony with the help of Ruth Bonner, the daughter of a man born a slave in Mississippi. The 3 rang a bell from the historic First Baptist Church, believed to be among the first organized entirely by Black people. The Smithsonian National Museum of African American History and Culture is exclusively devoted to African American history and culture.
You know, this is a step forward for explaining the history of African American culture. Even President Obama said on Saturday the museum would tell an American story, one of fear, but also of hope.
Yeah, so this museum definitely represents a large part of American history. Both presidential candidates are in the running to also make history, and our political reporter Ashley Sal will join me at the desk for an update on the presidential race after the break.
Watching KVR News at 9. Your campus, your news.
Libertarian presidential candidate Gary Johnson arrived in Austin this past weekend and urged voters to elect him as president instead of electing, quote, the lesser of 2 evils. The former New Mexico governor was referring to Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump. Johnson also spoke at Tribune Fest, where he said he would pardon NSA whistleblower Edward Snowden. The third-party nominee is still considered a long shot for the presidency. And last Friday, Ted Cruz endorsed Donald Trump for president after months of silence. Cruz announced his decision to vote for the Republican nominee on Facebook. Trump's vice presidential candidate played a key role in Cruz's decision. Pence and Cruz spoke at length on the phone and in person. Trump says he is greatly honored by Cruz's support. This endorsement came 3 days before tonight's presidential debate.
And we're actually right in the middle of tonight's presidential debate, so what can you fill us in on?
Right, so Clinton and Trump are almost done with their first debate at Hofstra University. Key points from the beginning of the debate are going to include how Clinton supports raising the minimum wage and promoting equal pay for women. She also emphasized how sharing profits with more than business execs is important. Conversely, Trump focused on how he believes Americans are losing jobs to China and Mexico. He wants to reduce taxes for companies.
We'll be sure to keep an eye on this debate and how this affects our voter opinion. Thanks, Ashley, and we'll have more news after the break.
Coming up next, see how a tool will help students walk safely in West Campus.
And see how Austin is making the city accessible to more bike riders.
Stay tuned for more KVR News.
Have a news tip or story idea? Call the KVR News Tip Line, 475-8181.
Bluebell recalled their ice cream products containing cookie dough last Wednesday. Some packages were contaminated with listeria. Last April, Bluebell shut down 3 plants and recalled all their products after a listeria contamination. Aspen Hills, the company that provides the cookie dough, said the dough was tested negative for listeria before being sent to Bluebell. No one has been reported ill. A tool currently being developed will allow UT students to find the safest streets in West Campus. Our Ashley Tsao has more on the story.
Some parts of West Campus are darker and more dangerous than others. UT student government created a way for students to avoid these areas. The initiative is called Wise Walks. It's a map that'll recommend which one of these streets in West Campus will provide students with the safest route home. Student government volunteers will survey each street for lighting, overgrown vegetation, and sidewalk maintenance. Then, each street will be given one of 3 ratings. Only the highly recommended and recommended routes will be highlighted on the map. UTSG plans to fix safety issues they identified.
In the survey, it said there's a question that says, are there any lights that are out? But also it says to write down the number of the lights. So after we're done with the survey, we're going to go to the city of Austin and say, hey, these lights are out.
UTPD partnered with student government and confirmed they would patrol the highly recommended routes.
If the officer is not on an active call for service, they would go by those areas either on foot, on bicycle, or in a vehicle, and just make sure that there was a police presence along those routes in those areas.
Some students don't think putting UTPD on safe routes is the best option.
If there aren't safe routes, I feel like the police should be looking at that.
In a telephone interview, the president of BSG Security Services said this map may give students a false sense of security. Morrison said anything that gets students thinking about their safety is a good thing. But to remember, all the lighting in the world can't keep you safe if you're not paying attention to the world around you. Ashley Tall, KVR News.
UT will provide a healthy lifestyle residence hall in the 2017 school year for students wanting a substance-free environment. The Center for Students in Recovery partnered with the Division of Housing and Food Services to begin implementing the new residence hall. The community living space is available for those struggling with substance abuse disorder or those wanting a substance-free home. The sign-up list for the residence hall will be up and running after the winter break. UT will observe the effectiveness of online therapy at other Texas universities before adding the treatment to its counseling and mental center. Currently, Baylor, Texas A&M, and UNT used a program called Therapy Assisted Online. UT is looking for student feedback for the programs before moving forward. This is an important step to making mental health resources available to more students.
The City of Austin's $720 million mobility plan passed and is set to appear on the November ballot. The plan includes $20 million allotted to bike trails and $11 million for street repairs. Bike advocates Orange Bike Project on UT campus think that this is a step in the right direction to easier mobility throughout Austin and for a more environmentally friendly means of transportation. B-Cycle, the bike rental company in Austin, believe they will be positively impacted by the changes and repairs to the roadways. Bike advocates are hoping that if the bond passes in the November ballot, more people will choose to bike instead of driving.
I think it's important, especially in this big city like Austin, is biking and commuting. It's safe for the environment, it's better for your body, and I think it really helps.
80% four-year graduation rate by 2017.
Fall officially hit us this weekend. It was such a huge change from Friday and Saturday.
Yes, I definitely agree, and it's a much-needed break from that summer heat. What can we expect this week?
Well, it seems like the cooler temperatures are here to stay. I'll have more after the break.
You're watching KVR News at 9. Your campus, your news.
Tonight we'll have a 20% chance of rain, so don't forget to bring your umbrellas if you're going out. Tuesday will be cloudy with a high of 80 and a low of 63. The temperatures are going to pick up on Wednesday, which will have a high of 87 and a low of 64. But we can expect the sun to be back out by Thursday with a high near 86 and a low around 60. If you're banking on the weather clearing up by the weekend, you're in luck. On Friday, the high will be 82 and the low will be 60. You'll be able to enjoy your weekend outdoors with a sunny Saturday at a high of 84 and a low of 61. Sunday will bring a high of 86 and a low of 65. We'll definitely be getting a break from the triple-digit heat, as it looked like Texas is turning a new leaf and the weather's finally starting to feel like fall. Live from the Weather Center, Danielle Ransom.
Thanks, Danielle.
College Press Box's Nick Kohlholtz will be in the studio to talk Longhorn sports after the break. Stay tuned.
You're watching KVR News at 9. Your campus, your news.
Texas football comes off their bye week and is beginning to prep for Oklahoma State on Saturday. This season has been characterized by Tyrone Swoops and Shane Buechele's offensive roles, but disappointment from the defense. Brecken Hager is one of the leaders on the Longhorn defense, and TSTV's very own Mark Skoll Jr. was able to catch up with him last week.
The Hager name associates with toughness on the football field, and Brecken Hager is no exception.
I play the game like old-fashioned, in my personal opinion, the way the game should be played. Go as hard as you can, hit them as hard as you can, just be relentless every play on this snap.
Hager learned that hard-nosed mentality from his father, Britt Hager, the Longhorns' all-time leader in tackles.
He taught me how to hit. He taught me, and it's something I learned young and just gotten better at. And now, I'm never afraid to go hit the biggest guy out there. I'm not afraid of anyone.
While Hager enjoys being associated with his father and older brothers, he doesn't want to be in their shadow any longer.
I want to make my own name, my own legacy. People even call me Britt Hager or call me Bryce. I want people to know me as Brecken.
And Hager's legacy as Brecken has already begun. All of his teammates acknowledge the passion he has for the game.
I love Hager. I mean, at the end of the day, we call him Wild Man, so we call him Kamikaze because it don't matter what if he does something wrong, he's going to go out there and hit somebody.
Brecken really cares about this team to where he'll do anything for us. We're his brothers, and he's our brother as well.
I just let him do him, and I just react to him. So it's his world. I'm living in it.
In Hager's world, the individual spotlight is nice, but he would rather create a legacy for his team than for himself.
And more so than myself, though, I want this team to be, in my class, to be something that is thought like we're the class, we're the team that brought Texas back. Something that will be bigger than myself.
As for the next time Hager takes a trip to Supercuts, well, that won't happen until he accomplishes something bigger than himself.
I made a promise to myself and teammates that I wasn't going to cut my hair until we won the Big 12.
Mark Skoll Jr., College Press Box.
Nick, let's be real here. Vance Bedford is on the hot seat. We also know Deshaun Elliott and Brandon Jones are waiting for their shot. So do you see these chances being more on the coaching side or on the personnel side?
You know, I think in the end there might be a change on both sides. Vance Bedford is on his last strike as defensive coordinator if he plays these younger guys, I think he'll be able to keep his job because I think given the opportunity, these younger players, as you mentioned, Deshaun Elliott, Brandon Jones, Malcolm Roach, they'll come in and make plays and produce what some of the guys on the starting defensive 11 right now aren't doing for the Texas Longhorns. So I think if Vance Bedford, what he needs to do is look at the depth chart and say, I don't care if this is a senior, I don't care if it's a true freshman, whatever player at every position gives this football team the best opportunity to win, that's who needs to be on the football field.
And it's tough to get a gauge on Oklahoma State. They already have losses in Central Michigan and Baylor, but somehow they have the edge in the spread. So given these circumstances, is there still a must-win for the Horns?
Absolutely. I think you call this game on Saturday a must-win. You can't start 0-1 in Big 12 play, and I don't even allude to the college football playoff talk. Texas has a lot of things they need to fix before they can even come close to calling themselves a playoff team. But you can't start 0-1 in conference play because there are so many other teams already in the conference that could beat Texas this year. You have to start 1-0. Oklahoma State in Stillwater. Texas has done well playing at Boone Pickett Stadium in the past. They've got to do that same thing on Saturday morning.
All right, well, thanks for joining us, Nick. And let's see what Claudia Jimenez has for our entertainment news. What's happening in Hollywood, Claudia?
See how Kim K is influencing the political scene and what's new on Netflix. All this coming up after the break.
You're watching KVR News at 9. Your campus, your news.
Welcome back to KVR News. Kim Kardashian West officially endorsed Hillary Clinton this weekend. The reality star turned business mogul penned an essay on her app announcing her choice. The announcement came shortly after rumors spread of Kim K voting for Donald Trump. Kim K has shown support for the Clinton campaign previously, but was hesitant to fully throw her support. A new month brings new movies. Netflix is doling out some changes for the month of October, just in time for fall. Classics like Ferris Bueller's Day Off, Titanic, and How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days are new additions to the roster. Unfortunately, with new add-ons, we have to sacrifice some of our favorites. Leaving Netflix on the first of the month is the Back to the Future series, Honey, and seasons 1 through 4 of Heroes. Luckily, we have a Cinderella story to make up for our losses.
Thanks, Claudia. And thank you for tuning in.
For updates throughout the week, you can follow us on Twitter at KVR News. I'm Khortlyn Cole.
And I'm Dani Matias. Stay tuned for College Press Box up next on Texas Student Television. Have a great night.